Now I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation, Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Russian Federation, Mr. Sergey Lavrov. You have the floor.
I'm sorry, there's no sound.
Monsieur le ministre, personne ne vous entend.
Mr. Minister, unfortunately, we can't hear you. Can you hear us? Your Excellency, we cannot hear you.
Не только
What is being tested now is not just individual states, but also global governance mechanism as such, and the UN is first and foremost here. What we need to do is to draw timely lessons from what is happening, draw the right conclusions to make sure that we have peaceful, safe and stable future for the whole humankind. The main thing that the current crisis has shown is that the interdependence, interconnectedness of all states without exception in all areas of public life. Russia has long been drawing attention to the cross-border nature of contemporary threats, including international terrorism, the danger of uncontrolled proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, cybercrime, trafficking, etc. Now, when we have the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic on top of that, our appeals to come up with joint responses to global challenges are becoming even more relevant. The events this year have shown that no one can just simply cordon themselves off from these threats. The coronavirus infection has impacted everyone, and this means that overcoming its consequences is something that we need to do together and to push, therefore, away our momentary differences. Unfortunately, our common misfortune did not iron out interstate differences, but to the contrary, deepen them. The crisis points have come to the fore, the very points that we have been witnessing in international relations earlier as well. In a whole number of countries, there is a temptation to look abroad for those who are responsible for their own internal problems. And we see attempts on the part of individual countries to use the current situation in order to move forward their narrow interests of the moment in order to settle the score with the undesirable governments or geopolitical competitors. Against all odds, we are still seeing the practice of unilateral illegitimate sanctions. They undermine the prestige and prerogatives of the United Nations Security Council. We have on many occasions drawn attention to the need to do away with the restrictions. In the context of a pandemic, they hit particularly hard those who are most vulnerable. They limit their access to foodstuffs and health care. Suspending such measures in the current conditions is also something that the Secretary General called for, and we actively support this initiative of his. What remains fully relevant and topical as well is a proposal put forward by President Putin at the April summit of the G20. He proposed the so-called red corridors, which would be free of sanctions and trade wars. It is regrettable that states which use the illegal sanctions in their policies remain deaf to our arguments. And what is even more regrettable, they remain deaf to the vital needs of the simple people from all corners of the world. We are deeply convinced that international efforts in order to overcome the crisis need to be coordinated and conducted with the central role being played by the UN. The UN remains a universal and indispensable platform for dialogue, and its importance for the global architecture in a pandemic has only increased. In this regard, we think it's absolutely unfair to increasingly attack the UN system as a whole and its specialized agencies in particular. And this, first and foremost, means the World Health Organization. According to the absolute majority of countries, at all stages of the crisis, the World Health Organization acted professionally, in a timely manner, provided effective preventive steps and did this in a close contact with all member states. Of course, the potential of the international healthcare system is something that needs to be qualitatively built upon, and Russia has contributed to that greatly. We were the first country in the world which developed and registered a coronavirus vaccine, Sputnik V, and we reiterate our readiness to cooperate epidemiologically with all interested states and international organizations. As recently as the day before yesterday, when speaking in the General Assembly, President Putin offered free vaccination to the UN staff. This is our reaction to the requests which came from the UN colleagues, and Russia, of course, as was underscored by Mr. Putin, could not remain indifferent to such requests. He also proposed that we organize a video conference of all countries which are involved in the development and manufacturing coronavirus vaccine, and this proposal remains on the negotiating table. The pandemic today has become exactly that kind of shift, the black swan which has put us face to face with a challenge, with a choice. We can close in upon ourselves, accuse others of the crisis, or come out of the crisis together, pool the efforts of all countries and peoples. The choice seems obvious, and yet the latter option requires maximum political will and strategic thinking. We think we need to start with an open and candid dialogue, first and foremost, amongst the permanent members of the Security Council, members which, under the Charter, bear special responsibility for maintaining international peace and security. And it is in this line that Russia launched the initiative to convene a summit of the P5 countries, and this was mentioned by by President Putin yesterday when he addressed the General Assembly. In-person discussion amongst leaders about the principles of interstate interaction, the most acute problems that humankind faces, would be an important step in order to strengthen the collective approach in international affairs and towards restoring global strategic stability in the post-pandemic period. And of course, this is the meeting we are convinced that we need to convene as soon as the international epidemiological situation allows. We also need to strengthen the existing formats of interaction where the principles of equality, cooperation, and consensus reign. And such formats are the G20, BRICS, and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. We are convinced that the future of global governance belongs with the entities which provide for a flexible reaction to emerging challenges without taking away from the UN-centric nature of international architecture. In October, Russia will be presiding over the deliberation of the Security Council. We'll make maximum efforts to ensure coordinated and effective work of this main body of the United Nations, and we'll base our work on constructive interaction of all its members, and we'll base ourselves on the standards of international law, first and foremost, the objectives and principles of the UN Charter. I would like to yet once again thank the Presidency of Niger for this very useful initiative, and I thank you for your attention.
Je